Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. I just wanted to mention I signed in the ones that came in after I brought the paper up here. Oh. I believe we have an announcement.
Thank you. I've been asked to announce the next murder mystery at the Margin Manor Winery is May 18th, which is a Sunday at 2 p.m. It's entitled Mall's Fair in Love and War. I will read the little press release she gave me. Murder Mystery Dinner Theater. Who murdered Saul Paul for his shopping mall? Was it Armando Giorgi, owner of Worst for Wear, Men's Used Clothing, Secretary Ellie Wright, Polaris, owner of Seeing Stars, telescopes, binoculars, and spy equipment? A final suspect, Sven Gali, calls his store Under the Influence. Hypnotism for every occasion. Tickets on sale today. Check marginmanor.com. Thank you.
Yes, now we will hear from Nancy, the inspirator.
After, I have a quote from John Lennon. I don't know what it has to do with movie trailers, but I thought it was a good way to start our time together. When I was 5 years old, my mother always told me that happiness was the key to life. When I went to school, they asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. I wrote down happy. They told me I didn't understand the assignment, and I told them they didn't understand life. John Lennon.
Now, if we can stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I will list who is present today. Eric's in the room is Eric Snyder, Mark Campus, Len Thornton, Maggie Craig, Darcy Colby, Beth Banks, Mary Cabanero, Steve Smith, Jill Roaring, Nancy Ferry, Kate Orr, Dave Licata, Marty Johnston, Joe Budnick, Tracy Farrell, and myself. On Zoom, we have Dave Jones, Phil Russell, Sylvia Baptiste, and Margot Sue Bittner. See anybody else? Now our Toastmaster of the day, Eric Snyder, will approach the lectern.
Thank you, Carol. Good morning, everybody. How's it possible that I am Toastmaster when I was just Toastmaster 2 weeks ago? How did I get lucky? Today's theme, I was like, what can I come up with? So classic trailers. So today we're being like Turner Classic Movies, so to speak. I love Turner Classic Movies because it's where the real vintage movies to watch, because I was trying to remember. TCM came out in 1995, 96, somewhere around there, as a television station for classic movies. And all the times I'm like sitting there when I was at home or was at my grandparents', they'll show previews of what they're showing on Turner Classic Movies. I'm like, okay, that's a nice little preview of what it was like when our grandparents, our parents growing up and watching these type of movies. So we'll get into our role holders first, and I'll prompt Len for one of the movie trailers that I put up as one of them. We'll start with our WAG master. Kate Orr is going to provide us with the word and her job.
Thank you, Eric, and everybody. Good morning. My favorite job is Word Master and Table Topics Master, but I am WAG Master today. However, we have a lot of people in the space, and back in the day, a couple years ago, the WAG Master was all separate. The Word Master, the Master, the Grammarian. In small clubs, it is combined because of sharing of roles. I would like to offer up the Master role if anyone is interested on Zoom or in person. I will do it if no one volunteers. Haha, Darcy, showing up the seasoned members. Thank you for joining us. She will be our Master today. I will keep the Grammarian role unless someone very much wants it, because I doubt it. There are a couple of us in the space who love the grammarian role. I was an English teacher, but don't be scared. Just use appropriate language. Avoid weak language because it weakens your credibility as a speaker. Our words, I often throw out double words. We have evoke and provoke today. You may also use the versions provocation or what's the other, folks? Help me out here because I'm having a brain melt. Evoke. It wasn't that. It was a different one. Evocative. I sent it to Eric ahead of time. Evocative. Okay, what's the difference between evoke and provoke? Evoke is rather neutral. Today we're listening to, thinking about movie trailers and movies, and it will evoke maybe nostalgia. It brings back memories. Evoke is neutral. It could bring positive or negative. Provoke is with the action to provoke something negative. Evoke is to call forth, to bring to mind, to cause the appearance of something. Whereas provoke tends to be stirring up, to incite, to create a reaction, specifically a negative one. He tried to provoke a fight. Her comments provoked a strong reaction from the audience. The politician's words were intended to provoke outrage. Please try to use one of the words, all of the words. It is evocative or evoke, provoke. It's challenging, but we're here to be challenged. So what was the other one, folks? Help me out. Evocative, it's just a different version of the word, I guess. Anyway, thank you very much. Use the word. I'll listen to grammar and I'll do the positive negative report at the end instead of calling out individuals like I usually do. Thank you so much, Eric. And I guess we'll call up, I'll just say what Darcy's going to do unless she wanted to come up. Just report at the end. She'll count ahs and ums. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kate. On Zoom today, Quote Master, Margot Subitner. Good morning, Margot.
Good morning, Mr. Toastmaster. The only thing Steve left out of his little announcement is he is playing Poet Laris, and as you probably guessed, he's an astronomer. Kate Banks will be Violet Bluestein, our bookstore owner, and I am Miss Lillian Young, and I think I'm a preschool teacher. So if you want to watch some Toastmasters, have some fun, you join us for the murder mystery. Anyway, I do have 3 quotes for you today, and I will put them in chronological order. The first 2 deal with communication. The first one is from the movie Taxi Driver, 1976, to date myself. And the quote is, "You talking to me?" The second one is from the movie Cool Hand Luke. Okay, I didn't put them in chronological order, 1967. What we've got here is a failure to communicate. And the third one, to me, evokes the spirit of Toastmasters, is from The Help. You is kind, you is smart, you is important. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Margot. Our jester also on Zoom is Sylvia. Good morning, Sylvia.
Good morning, everyone. I'm hoping that my just that I found will evoke some good thoughts and be funny. I don't know. I had to find kids one stories because the other one was too colorful language that I was looking up some just, and I didn't want to use it that early in the morning. So the first just that I have this morning, did you hear about the Minecraft movie? It was a blockbuster.
Ah,
What's Jesus' favorite sports movie? Anyone? Miracle. What do you call the security guards who work at a Samsung store? Guardians of the Galaxy.
oh,
And my last one is, what do you call an overweight ET? Extra cholesterol.
oh. Thank you, Sophia. Oh, my goodness. Excuse me. Our timer this morning, thank you, David Jones, for stepping up and taking over the timer role this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, and good morning, fellow Toastmasters. Being timer evokes something that happened last week to us. I have a club member who I thought was going to make it all the way to international as international speech contestant, and she was disqualified for going over time 1 second. So don't be like Donna, don't go over 1 second. This morning, I will be using my background lights, green, yellow, and red. And I have a question on Tracy's speech. I'm not sure of the time. It's not posted on there. So if I can get her time.
5 to 7 minutes.
5 to 7 also. Okay, so all of our speeches are 5 to 7 minutes. And just to clarify, Beth is a speaker and an evaluator? Because she's
Yes.
on the... All right, perfect. And of course, here at AM Lockport, our table topics are 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes. So at 1.5, I'll do the green, 1:45 yellow, and 2 minutes be red. And I will report upon it when called upon. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, David. Our quiz master this morning is Mary. Come on up, Mary.
I'll be testing your listening skills and report at the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Mary. And I cannot leave out our general evaluator, Marty Johnston.
Thank you, Eric, fellow Toastmasters. I will not provoke anyone this morning. As general evaluator, I will evoke positive thoughts and positive vibes that I gained during the meeting. My role as general evaluator is to evaluate the Toastmaster and the evaluators, and I'll report back at the end of the meeting. Thank you, Eric.
Marty, thank you very much. Before we show one movie trailer, I want to propose a toast to all of our nostalgias of movies that we have come to know and love throughout the years. And let's continue to nostalgia our way through. It's a new word I came up with. Let's just go with it. Yes, here's 2 movies. Thank you. I just look at Kim like, yeah, why not? Why not? There'll be a new word in the dictionary, I hope, but probably not. All right. Before we begin our speaking portion of the meeting, I will prompt Len to show us our first movie trailer. And I'll give a quick background. As you see on the page that says Casino Royale, it was a parody movie. This is like before Austin Powers. This was Casino Royale from 1967, and basically it stars Peter Sellers, David Niven, Ursula Andress, and all of all the. Oh. So basically, all of the everybody became James Bond. So watch the trailer. Oh, it's hilarious.
He's gambling for his life at Casino Royale. There goes a spy. There's evil in his eye. Have no fear, Bond is here. Up for the right seat with old 007. He's got a red head in his arm. Oh, he's a lover. When you are in trouble, have no fear. Look who's here. James.
I am the celestial virgin of the sacred altar.
That worked well in that movie.
I'm the new secret weapon.
At Casino Royale. Left on the right seat with old 007. He's got a red head in his arm. Oh, he's a lover. When you are in trouble, have no fear. Look who's here. James Bond. Incredible, incredible. Absolutely marvelous.
All right. We will start with our speaking portion of the meeting. Our first speaker this morning is Tracy Farrell, and her evaluator this morning is Mark Campos.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Good morning. And thank you once again, Mr. Toastmaster, for readjusting the schedule to accommodate me today. It is my privilege to evaluate Tracy this morning. Tracy is ordering off menu, so to speak, today. She is not following any particular project in Pathways. She is practicing a training session that she will be delivering at work. Many of us who have taken advantage of our Toastmasters experience have used this safe space to practice things that we needed to deliver at work, and that's what Tracy will be doing. Mr. Timer, as stated, the time is 5 to 7 minutes. Please join me in welcoming Tracy Farrell with the introduction to the board assessment review.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. Just before we get started, you have to know I've never given a 3-hour training session before. So I am practicing with you. My dog has been very bored listening to this, so I need actual real people to practice with. So I want feedback, and it's tonight, so give me feedback quick. So thank you, everybody. It's 6 o'clock, and I believe we should begin with our training tonight. I want to welcome everybody and thank you for participating in the Board of Assessment Review. Whether this is your first time or you've been reappointed, your job as a member of the Board of Assessment Review is to protect the assessments throughout your municipalities. We're going to start with a little bit of housekeeping. Everybody should have signed in when they came in. The sign-in sheet is right over here. Please put your email address on that sign-in sheet too, in case there's any questions that I need to research. I'll be able to get back to you. That sign-in sheet with your signature on there will be turned into the state, and that is your proof that you have attended your training session. It is a required training session every 5 years. You've also received a Board of Assessment Review manual, so please make sure you pick that up when you came in, and your certificate of attendance. We have Alyssa here in the room. She will send out those certificates of attendance to your town or city clerks for their review and copies. There's a copy of certificate we talked about, and just so we all know, restrooms are out the door, up the hall to your left and to your right. You need to use the restrooms anytime during this training session. So just so you know, you've spoken with Alyssa. She's in the back of the room. She'll be running the PowerPoint for you tonight. She is our real property information clerk. She's been with us for a couple of years, and she's been your point person throughout this process. She signed you up for the class. She made sure you knew where you were. She put together this room and took care of your manuals, your certificates. She'll be mailing them out within the next couple of days. Who am I? Well, I'm the real property tax director. I've been in this position for exactly 10 months, and this is my first time giving this presentation also. A lot of you I know have been here for several years, and you've worked with other past directors. My experiences, I started off as an appraiser back in the late 90s. So I was working out in the field valuing homes. In 2002, I actually joined the county. I worked in real property as the real property information clerk, and I also helped Bill Budd at the time put together some of these training sessions. After that, I left and I worked in the city of Lockport as the assessor. I was there for about 8 years. We did the first reval, the first time in 10 years. Whether you think it was successful or not, it was a successful reval. Not everybody was happy with it, but it was still successful. So successful that the council had voted to do it yearly. After that, like I said, 10 months ago, I joined the county once again, back in the same office where I started, and here we are. I'm going to go through the room just because you know who we are. I'd like to know who each and every one of you are. Please state your name, what municipality you're in, and how long you've been on the Board of Assessment Review. I'll skip that part for our purposes here. And now we can look at the PowerPoint. We're going to just go over a little bit of what we'll be covering tonight. We're going to give a brief overview of the Board of Assessment Review. We're going to discuss how your assessor assesses real property. We're going to talk about the profile of your board. How long are you serving for, your staggered memberships, and what type of positions, what type of qualifications do you need to serve on this board? We're going to talk about how to prepare for grievance day. There's a little bit of work that goes into it, especially by the assessor, but also for you as board members. Actually holding a grievance, make the grievance hearing, making sure that it's under control and that the taxpayer isn't coming in, taking over your meeting. You as the board are responsible to take control of those meetings. We're going to go through the manual that you received and talk about the grounds for complaints on assessments. Those actual forms need to be filled out completely. We'll talk about each section of that form and make sure it's signed, everything that you need to look at as a Board of Assessment Review member. And then we'll also look at the determinations of your board. How do you come to your determinations at the end of it? They have to be an executive session, so they have to be fair. Nobody can discuss it with the assessor, or the grievant can't be in the room with you. And they're private, and then you mail out those forms. And then we'll talk about those second meetings as we go on. If there's no other questions, I will lead on to Unit 1, and I will end my presentation right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy, and good luck tonight. Our second speaker this morning is Beth Banks, and her evaluator will be Jill Roaring.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. Beth is doing a speech she's working on presentation mastery. This is a level 5 elective. Yeah, level 5. Here we go. She's going to present a well-organized speech about her experience as a volunteer leader. And it's any style that she chooses. And basically, she's going to tell us about volunteering. Is it learned? Is her title. So Beth Banks, volunteering, is it learned?
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. In thinking about volunteering, it evokes some memories for me because growing up, I have to admit, I thought every family volunteered. It was normal. My parents volunteered for everything. They volunteered for church, scouts, Little League, PTA, American Field Service, the Newfane Sesquicentennial Committee, founding members of the Historical Society. Were they ever home? Yes, they were home, but we were with them doing things. I don't remember a time when they weren't involved in some kind of organization in the community. I have to admit there probably was times that my mother dragged my father along, but he seemed to go fine. When I began dating my husband, I realized that community volunteering may not be true about every family. It was a bit of a surprise to me, the lack of his parents' involvement in the community. They were involved in their church, their work, but they didn't really go out to other community organizations. Mind you, they had 9 children. I had 4. I can understand a little why it would have been difficult to actually get out into community organizations. They did later in life, they volunteered a lot for different organizations, but when their older kids were growing up, that was difficult. I wonder, did that early modeling influence whether their children volunteered or not? I do have to say some of his family volunteers, others do not. What does the research tell us? Because of course I'm going to do that when I'm giving a speech. According to Peter Levine, who directs the Center for Information and Research on Civic Learning at Tufts University, kids who volunteer are more successful in school. Why? Well, because serving teaches them life, not just school skills, but life skills that they can use out in their life. Long-range planning, being able to work in groups, interacting with people who are different from yourself, defining complex problems. Another important skill, and as a 6th grade teacher, I saw this a lot, was their ability to manage their time. As I volunteered, I heard over and over again the saying, if you want something done, give it to a busy person, which sounds rather counterintuitive. However, busy people have learned how to manage their time. Trust me, 6th graders did not have that skill yet for the most part. They did not know how to do that. I think that in teaching children how to manage your time, that has to come from different angles, not only from teaching them in school, but from their parents, from these different volunteer organizations. I think it's important that they see that. When raising our family, I don't think my husband and I consciously thought, oh, we better model volunteering so that our children volunteer. We just did it. He was a volunteer fireman for over 25 years. I was involved in PTSA, coaching soccer. No one else would do it, trust me. I was not a sport coach they would have chosen. I did coach drama club when I was teaching. I've been involved in church. We were active members of the Newfane Sesquicentennial Committee and the Historical Society also. Obviously, all those skills helped us to run the Celtic Festival. Why should any of us volunteer? Well, on your tables, there are a list for you to take home. I know a lot of you already volunteer at different organizations, but think about it. Why do we volunteer? One of the things that helps give you a sense of purpose, keeps you mentally stimulated. There's a sense of community when you work together volunteering. Keeps you connected to the people in your community. Since COVID, that's an important thing. You meet new friends, people you probably would not even have met if you had not volunteered in an organization. Increase your social skills. We probably all need a little bit more of the active listening, relationship management skills. If you volunteer, you get a sense of self-esteem that you might not get. Teaches you valuable skills, communication, public speaking, marketing, organization. For those that are younger, it might provide job opportunities. You meet with people. Bring fun into your life. Pursue hobbies while you make a difference. It can make you happier, reduce stress, anger. Gets you out of your comfort zone, which is something we all need to think about. In conclusion, whether your parents modeled for you volunteering or not, get out there and volunteer to help yourself and to help others. Thank you very much.
I'll give Beth just a quick second to grab her evaluation sheet and come back up. And for our final speaker, for Maggie Craig. She's playing double duty today, folks. So let's welcome back up, Beth. Oh, yes. Beth is reevaluating Maggie for speech that Maggie provided last week and asked Beth to evaluate her again. So let's welcome back Beth to evaluate.
And I can't remember what her speech was last week. I gave her the evaluation, didn't keep a copy for myself. So Maggie is going to be doing what she did last week with hopefully a few changes that I suggested that she do. She will be teaching us the difference in the little cakes that she made. She'll do a great. You want this moved, correct?
Len's
Okay.
gonna take care. Thank you.
Thank you. Maggie Craig.
That was me.
Exactly. Okay.
While Len is helping me out setting this up, I want to say that today's theme evoked some memories for me and about movie trailers. And I noticed that Eric had put these pictures on here, and Leslie Nielsen and Christopher Lloyd were in a movie together called Rent-A-Kid, and I was the script supervisor on that movie. And I have lovely memories of both of those people. My husband's also worked with Christopher Lloyd since then, so it's nice to have seen him again. Chris is very quiet. If you do not start the conversation, he will not speak. He worked with Tony Danza on Taxi for years and sat in the chair. And Tony always started the conversation. I guess one day, Chris told me that one day Danny came in and Tony came in and he sat in the chair and he didn't say a word. He wanted to see if Chris would talk, and he didn't. But if you get Chris talking, he loves to talk. And his sister's name is Ruth, and my sister Ruth's name was Chris. So I thought that was very interesting as well. I also worked with Annie Potts, who's from Toy Story. She was the mom on The Fosters, and Annette O'Toole, who was in, I worked with her on Strong Medicine, though I don't remember anything about her. But she was in 48 hours. Some people you remember, some people they don't touch you so much. Okay, so that was that. And now I'll go on to my presentation for today. And maybe use our new word, evoke, in the price of groceries probably evokes some anxiety in us today. The price of eggs surpassed $11 in California this last year. And I'm happy to announce that right now the average cost of eggs has fallen to $3.75. Isn't that great? Only almost 100% more than we were paying in August of 2023. Yay. So what do I want to talk about? I want to talk about an alternative to eggs, and we need one. Exactly. So I've made these lovely loaves using egg alternatives. This is our base loaf, and it is made with egg. And that's obviously where we're going to be our jumping off spot. Eggs are a great binder. They are not the leavener, which actually when I started this, and I bake a lot, I always think of eggs as being the leavener or what makes things rise, and it isn't. It's just the binder. And when you think of it that way, then it makes it easier to understand why these other things work. There's baking soda and baking powder in the loaf, and that's what actually makes it rise. And that's the leavener. Eggs perform binding duty, and it gives you a nice fluffy loaf with a neutral taste. And it's what we're used to when we talk about eggs. They are provide protein, omega-3s, and they cost now about 31 cents a loaf today, but have been as much as, 50. And if you live in California, if you live around here, it's probably about 50 cents an egg. It could be as much as $1 an egg in California. So what might our alternatives be? And our alternative might be chia. And chia is a seed, and if you put a tablespoon of chia in 3 tablespoons of water, it will form a gel, and that gel becomes your egg alternative. Chia is packed with micronutrients, protein, fiber, calcium, potassium, magnesium. It's a really great alternative. It gives you a nutty, chewy taste. So great choice. This is apple. Apple gives you some fiber and vitamin C. The thing about apple is it took about 10 minutes longer to cook the apple, and it's mushier. If you look at the loaf, you can see it overflowed, but it gives you a great taste. And at the end of the day, you have a nice loaf that tastes good, vitamin C. This is banana. Who doesn't like banana loaf? You don't have to use eggs to make banana loaf. You can use the banana as an egg. It adds sweetness, potassium, a great alternative for eggs. Bananas cost about 60 cents per banana, so we're looking at 30 cents. So a little bit less than the cost of an egg. Aquafaba. What is aquafaba? Who knows? Well, if you take a can of chickpeas and you pour the water off from the chickpeas, you will have aquafaba. And if you take your little immersion blender, if you have one, or your wrist if you don't, and mix it up, you can make something that looks kind of like meringue. And that is your egg alternative. A 1/4 cup of aquafaba will equal 1 egg. So we have, and very important, aquafaba is completely free if you use the chickpeas for something else. So it's what you normally would throw away. So we can consider it a free byproduct of the chickpeas. The thing about aquafaba is its nutrients are 0. There is nothing in aquafaba. It's magic water. I like to call it magic water. But it is a good egg alternative. And the loaf cooked the fastest and gives you a really lovely texture inside. So it looks very good. And if you want to see what that looks like compared to what it might look like if I made the egg aquafaba. So it's been It's also nutrient absent. There's no nutrients in aquafaba. So you're not getting any fiber, you're not getting any vitamins, you're getting magic water. Free magic water. They all look about the same. So it's good alternatives to eggs. Sweetness in some, change of taste in others. If you look on your table, you'll see I put recipes, and the recipes will tell you later, if you want to make them, how to use the various things as egg replacements. The color, the taste, the cost, a little different from each one, but all really good alternatives to eggs. So we have options that we can use to replace eggs. I hope that you take an opportunity after I'm finished speaking to go over to the coffee bar and taste the difference between the various egg replacements. Thank you very much. Okay. No, I'm going to shake your hand because you're the only one that showed up.
An air high five from this angle right here. Oh. All right. Could I have a timer's report, please, Mr. Timer?
Yes, Mr. Toastmaster, we had Tracy at 5 minutes and 37 seconds, Beth at 6 minutes and 38 seconds, and Maggie at 6 minutes and 13 seconds. All three qualified.
Thank you very much, Mr. Timer. And oh my Lord, it's snowing outside. Hey, David, what's the weather outside today? Kay wants to know.
The heater's on now, but the air conditioner will be on later. So we're at that moment where we're up and down.
Send some warmth our way, please. All right. While Mary will be collecting the ballots, and there will be an online poll in just a second. All right, we'll start off with our second movie trailer. It's The Naked Gun. And there is a reboot coming in August starring Liam Neeson. Yes, it is. I agree with that pretty wholeheartedly. Yep.
In this city, there's crime on every street. But one man has seen enough. He's Lieutenant Frank Drebin.
Whatever scum did this, not one man on this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat.
He's a good cop who's having a bad day. His best friend
Everyone should have a friend like you.
is in a coma.
As soon as Nordberg is better, he's welcome back at Police Squad. But I wouldn't wait until the last minute to fill out those organ donor cards.
His girlfriend asked him to look her up.
Nice beaver.
Thank you. I just had it stuffed.
Let me help you with that.
And his city is in the hands of a master criminal with a sinister plan.
I must kill the queen.
How can any police story contain this much action? This much romance?
I like cops.
Or this much baseball? Starring Leslie Nielsen, a cop who's always on the alert. Mikhail Gorbachev.
I knew it.
Queen Elizabeth, everyone's favorite queen. Priscilla Presley, a woman who really cooks.
How hot and wet do you like it?
Ricardo Montalban.
Frank.
You're both right.
George Kennedy, the partner with an appetite for danger. O.J. Simpson as you've never seen him before. And Reggie Jackson in his first dramatic role. In a movie so big, it had to be filmed in color. The Naked Gun, from the files of Police Squad.
Coming this Christmas to a theater near you. See you then.
All right, it's time for table topics, and we'll invite up Joe in just a quick second. Oh yeah, well, how about we start with evaluators because Mark has to leave. So we'll start with that. So Joe, you just sit there and eat some good food from Maggie, and we'll invite up Mark as our first evaluator.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Tracy. Tracy with the introduction to the board assessment review. Tracy is obviously an accomplished Toastmaster, and we saw a great many of her skills on display this morning. First of all, Tracy, it's obvious. You are a subject matter expert. You exude confidence in your comfort zone delivering a speech like this, and it gives you the credibility that you need to deliver a training session, especially one that's 3 hours long. I thought your opening was very well organized. You got all of the housekeeping out of the way, which is essential in something like that, so great job. I thought you had very good eye contact with those of us in the audience, and your gestures were smooth. You sprinkled them in while you were up here at the lectern, looked very at ease as a speaker. But above all else, and this is a direct byproduct of the practice and preparation that you've had, there was not a reliance upon notes, which is key, and again, is very good for a training session like this. Building upon these strengths, I think your presentation could be even more effective in just a few ways. First and foremost, you've got 3 hours. You have a lot of information packed in there. Don't be afraid to slow down and maybe pause. I thought of when you had your introduction to yourself where you gave your biographical information and you said, "Who am I?" Let those words hang out there a second. You went right into the answer. "Who am I?" And went right into the answer. A little bit of a dramatic pause, whet the audience's appetite a bit. And if at all possible, if you have the ability to do so, if you can come out from behind the lectern, especially during that portion where you're talking about yourself and you can work the crowd, you can get up close, make some eye contact with individuals in the audience, and it would just enhance the connection with them. Plus, it breaks it up a little bit. It gets the audience's attention while you're up there for such an extended period of time. And last point, it was pointed out in Zoom, I think Sylvia had pointed it out, that you drifted away from the microphone a few times. Now, maybe that's my fault because the microphone was up here, you had to bring it down and it wasn't quite adjusted, but something to be mindful of. But overall, I have to say this, I've been asked by people who are not Toastmasters how we do what we do, to stand up and give a speech and not have any notes in front of you and sound credible and confident. And yes, we sharpen skills and we get good at that sort of thing, but there is no substitute for practice and preparation. You torture your pets. In my case, I talk to myself in my car when I rehearse. We just do it differently. But I have the utmost confidence you will do an outstanding job this evening. Thank you.
Our second evaluator this morning, evaluating Beth Banks, is Joe Roaring.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Beth. What an interesting speech. And it was enhanced by the fact that you passed out a little take-home sheet for us to study and pass around maybe. The speech, you excelled at bringing in personal experience. your parents, yourself. I don't think you brought in about your children too much, but you probably could have. That was just gave us things to think about. It made me think about how my mother and father volunteered. Sometimes more than others, depending on what their job situation was doing. Dad was primarily in the church, but he did volunteer for the Lions Club and volunteered for the Historical Society. So I understand where these are coming from. And it led me to a lot of volunteering. But I'm sad to say not seeing a lot of volunteering in the next generation. And I think we can all see that. Somehow this connection is not following through. And that's sad. Your pacing seemed a little bit rushed at the end. As the lights were changing, you could see you were trying to get through your list of 10 benefits. Oh no, it's yellow and I'm only on 6. Yeah. But you did manage to get through there. And you got the whole speech in, I think. I don't know what you had written down. It seemed full. To challenge yourself in the future, somehow find a way to give this speech to the people who really need to hear it. I don't know how, because they don't volunteer. You don't see them at anything. They stay home and watch their TVs and play video games, I guess. So I don't know what we're going to do. I'm making a sad comment on this whole situation right now instead of actually evaluating your speech. So with that, thank you, Beth.
And lastly, our third evaluator, Beth, evaluating Maggie's speech.
Oh dear, yes. Before I get started, Jill, I would like to make a comment. You're right. I've had many organizations ask us in the Celtic Festival, how do you get these volunteers? And I think one of the benefits that we really stress is the connection. And that is why we have volunteers that are young. Our board members, we have a 20-year-old on our board, and she has been a volunteer since I had her in class. That helped bring some of the younger volunteers in, but that sense of connection really has helped. On to Maggie. Don't worry. You seem too worried today. I don't know. I loved your explanation this time of the benefits of eggs. What do the eggs actually do? The other ingredients, what are their jobs? I really liked that. You do still need to work on the ums and the uhs. You seemed a little bit more down key, I think, this time. And I would suggest, and I know it's not part of the rules, but I've never been a really good rule follower myself. It tells you to do the second speech the next week. Maybe ask if you can't have 2 weeks in between instead. I think it gives you a little more time to think about what you're doing, how you're doing it. And in your case, it would give you more time to make the bread, which of course we all love. So I love the use of props, because then we get to eat your props It's a wonderful thing. You have very good verbal hand expressions. Your voice modulation is excellent. I like that. All in all, I think it was a very good speech. I don't know what they're expecting when Pathways wants you to do this 2 weeks in a row, but I think we all learn a little with every speech we get. So keep all those suggestions in mind. You're great. Don't be nervous. You're going to be an excellent Toastmaster. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Beth. Could I have a timers report, please, Mr. Timer?
Yes, with the buffer, all three qualified. We had Mark at 312, Jill at 255, and Beth at 159. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. Timer. So please cast your votes for Jill, Beth, and Mark. All right. Now it's time for table topics, and I would like to invite up Joe Budnick as our table topics master.
Well, I've always been a movie buff since I was very young. And I used to really enjoy horror films. I still do, but I watch them sparingly because I got a little bit sick and tired of waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning having nightmares, scared to death, and wanting to sleep with the light on the rest of the night. You can only watch that stuff for so long and it not affect you mentally and emotionally. So I want to ask Carol, how are you? What was the scariest movie you ever saw? Can you tell us? Mm-hmm. And please use the word of the day. With me, it was The Howling. Those werewolves scared the heck out of me. Yeah.
Hello, Toastmasters. I used to enjoy the Dracula movies when I was probably in my early teens. And they weren't exceptionally scary. I think scary movies are more things where something kind of jumps out at you. And I'm trying to think the one I think it was called The Woman in Black. It was with Daniel Radcliffe, and the trailers looked a little scary, but I think the scariest thing was he went into the kitchen, and I think he was by the sink going to turn on the water, and these birds came out or something, and it was one of those like made you jump. And I do think the one I'm trying to think, it was I can't think of the name of it, but it was where the one was killing the high school people and they couldn't discover who it was at first. And I remember sitting in the theater with my daughters and just holding their hand all the time. And I think I think some movies I actually found more disturbing. I know for some reason the movie Seven had come up in one of the discussions with my daughters, and that was, like I said, it maybe wasn't like scary, but it was I found that to be one of the most disturbing movies.
fellow Toastmasters.
Yeah, Seven freaked me out. It was a good movie. Now, there's movies that do evoke laughter from me. I think one of the funniest movies I ever saw was one of the Pink Panther movies with Peter Sellers, although they were all hysterical with him. I think it was one of the sequels. I believe it was The Pink Panther Strikes Again. I used to sit there dying laughing watching those movies with him. And they were so funny, but you know, the nice thing about it is they were clean. It was clean humor. There was nothing risque or raunchy about it. It was all clean humor. It was just plain funny. So I would like to ask Len. Not you. Oh, okay. So how about Marshall? Yes. Are you there, Marshall? How are you, Marshall? Hi.
Hi,
What was the
thank you.
funniest movie you ever saw? What movie made you laugh?
Okay, thank you. Uh, there is a Chinese comedy movie evoked me laugh a lot, and I watched it for several times. The name is The Richest Man of Xihong City. It talk about a Chinese guy. He's very poor, but his grandpa's father went to Taiwan and became billionaire and had $30 billion dollars inherit to him. But for test him, he must spend 1 billion in 1 month. And then he can get that $30 billion dollars. So the way he spent money was so funny because he was so poor and he carried a truck of money to slap on the people who looked down upon him. And many people was very look down upon him because became his servant and do whatever thing he wants them to do, like to eat a whole host pig and make a lot of show. And this movie opened the ugly thing of our people's mind about money. Thank you. Go back to what
Thank you, Marshall. Easter is coming up, and I have watched the 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston probably 50 times. All 6 hours of it, I could probably recite every word of dialogue. Very good movie, very very visual, although it's interesting. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I really didn't know that women during ancient Egypt had hairstyles by Vidal Sassoon and makeup by Max Factor and gowns by Calvin Klein in that era. I guess you learn something new every day. I didn't know they had the Gap back then. So, yeah. So, is Margot there? I'd like to ask you, Margot, is there a particular film?
I did have a job this morning if there's somebody else who didn't have a job.
Oh, okay. Oh, David, you don't have a job. Okay, thank you. Is there okay. Is there a particular film that you've enjoyed that maybe you've seen multiple times and you'd like to tell us about? Yes, 50 times like me. Thank you, David.
She. Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. I've decided to mention some porn films. That way Maggie can't jump up and say, I worked on that one. But maybe she did. I'm probably going to get a shock. If you get the opportunity and you want to laugh laugh for a solid 90 minutes. There's this crazy Japanese movie called Tampopo, and Tampopo means, I believe it means dandelion or butterfly, either one or the other. And this crazy movie is a spoof of American Westerns and the dining habits of the Japanese people. So they combine this great big huge satire on food with this John Wayne character. And the movie starts out and the John Wayne substitute is driving the big 18-wheeler, because you can't have, you're going to have a cowboy, but today the modern cowboy is a truck driver. And he's got an assistant, and the assistant is reading this little mystery about a restaurant. And the John Wayne guy goes, "Your crazy reading is making me hungry." So they pull off and they find this nasty little noodle bar where this lady's struggling to keep it open. And in walk the bad guys, the construction crew from down the street. And they're giving her a hard time because the head of construction's got a crush on her. So the John Wayne character has to save her from all the abuse. So Tampopo definitely, and the Italian movie Bread and Chocolate. Bread and Chocolate is a scream, but it's got a lot of Charlie Chaplin in it where it gets sad, but then it's optimistic at the end. So I just had to show off and do the foreign stuff. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, everyone. So thank you, Eric. Turn it back over to you, Mr. Toastmaster. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Could I have a word report, please, Kate?
We can't skip that. Dave did not say the word of the day. I did not remind him. He maybe should know. And Marshall did, and Carol did. They qualify.
And one final time, Mr. Timer, how do we do with time?
Everybody qualified with the buffer. Carol at 2:17, Marshall 2:09, and Dave at 2:12.
Thank you very much, Mr. Timer. All right, we have time, a little time for another trailer. With anybody, any Trekkies out there, we have the teaser trailer for the first Star Trek movie, the motion picture. Yeah, there's some other Star Trek. Yeah. Of many.
The human adventure is just beginning. William Shatner, take us out, is Captain James T. Kirk. Leonard Nimoy is Mr. Spock. DeForest Kelly is Dr. Leonard Bones McCoy. James Doohan is Lieutenant Commander Montgomery Scott. George Takei is Lieutenant Commander Sulu. Major Barrett is Dr. Christine Shatner. Walter Koenig is Lieutenant Pavel Chekhov. Nichelle Nichols is Lieutenant Commander Uhura. Stephen Collins is Commander Willard Decker. Persis Kambata is Lieutenant Ilia.
motion picture.
All right, and there's one more I quickly put in at the last minute. Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd in a spy comedy adventure called Spies Like Us. Doctor. This is my sister. You can all have her. Yes. Yes. Because it was Desilu Studios back in the 60s. Yes.
Spies Like Us. Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd.
We've got a very special assignment for you two.
Nothing happened. Head down! If she's here, she's rich for a
This is my sister. You can all have her.
I can see you, Kurt.
You want some coffee? That's a good idea.
Can you see me?
Well, now, be honest, Captain.
What?
You do prefer it this way. Never was meant to.
I see that.
Hey! No peace in
Honestly, you two are unbelievable.
once more to the breach.
Every minute you don't tell us why you're here, I cut off a finger. Mine or yours? Yours. Damn.
Down! Hi-yo, Silver! Away! Chevy Chase.
Get us the hell out of here!
Dan Aykroyd. I think my high school guidance counselor said I'd never amount to anything. Spies Like Us.
We're Americans!
All right, let's invite Marty Johnston as our general evaluator.
Thank you, Eric. Boy, that was very thought-provoking. Okay, as general evaluator, I will evaluate the Toastmaster of the day and the evaluator, starting with Eric, the Toastmaster. Well done, Eric. As always, you show your love for James Bond and trailer movies. Very good, Eric. I have to step. Mary Liz, could you bring me that clipboard, please? I just wanted to make a couple notes for our Toastmaster. Eric, good job with following up and following through with, thank you, the roles and getting roles filled. I know that you did send a couple emails out. Very good. And we had one, the very last one was penned in. So we did have a full agenda. Well done, Eric. And the meeting started on time. A challenge to not only Eric, but all our members to encourage the speakers and evaluators to use the website to the fullest capacity as possible, as far as putting an introduction on, perhaps introducing each member. I know that Margot and a couple other members always mentioned the importance of an introduction and leading into the speech, how important that is, but the speaker could give you the introduction, you could use that, or you could request a specific introduction based on the type of speech it is. But there are three main things: why this speaker, why this topic, and why now. You could include that when you introduce the speaker, leading into the speech. And also encourage the speakers to have their titles, their times, and encourage the pathways credit to make sure that we get the credit for the education program, for the Distinguished Club program. But overall, Eric, well done. Moving to our evaluators, I now understand why Beth was an evaluator and a speaker, and I think that it worked out just great. So Beth, kudos to you for filling both of those roles today. all three of our speakers, all three of our evaluators, I must say, gave good evaluations with the sandwich approach, with something, that the speaker did well and gave them something to work on in the middle, some meat to work on and to chew on and think about for next time. And most importantly, to uplift the speaker. No matter how well the speaker thought they did, it's always important to uplift the speaker and to motivate them to come back. And I feel all three of the evaluators did that. So well done. Now we have a few other role holders to hear from. We hear from our, let me see here. Let's go with the Master Grammarian, Master Darcy. Thank you, Darcy. Darcy, welcome.
Thank you, Marty. I guess I'm confused. Was I supposed to do Oz and grammarian? Okay, good, good. That's all I did. Okay, so there was one another so. There was one before I started counting, so I say that word a lot. There was one before I started counting. I can't remember who, so that's a freebie. Tracy had one. Then we went a long time without any, so good job, everyone. Beth had one, Eric had a couple, Maggie had several, Carol and Halstead had a few, Marshall had several. Then there was another long period of time, and I just did one in there too. I'm listening. There was a period in the middle where there was none, so good job again. Marty Johnson.
Thank you, Darcy. And now we will go to our grammarian, and we'll come back to Wordmaster after the Quizmaster. Kate. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you for heeding my call to use strong language. I learned this from another club, or maybe Margot. Margot was the one who started this. Margot, where we just list weak language and then strong language, not calling out who was speaking. Gonna, like, watching, gonna, so, especially gonna, really, gotta, wanna, butcha, wanna. Drop G's, folks, dropped G's. Finish the enunciation on those words. However, we used a lot of strong language today. Chronological, counterintuitive, consciously, purpose, active listening, self-esteem, pursue, exactly, very punny. I didn't even get it at first. Silly me, exactly, as Maggie's title. Alternative, binder, leavener, micronutrients, aquafaba. I just saw a recipe 2 weeks ago. I never heard of aquafaba, but with all the egg situation, it was for meringues, for those little meringues, and using that. And I have a ton of cans of garbanzo beans at my house, so I need to use the magic water. Byproduct, nutrients, texture, various, accomplished exude, comfort zone gestures, sprinkled reliance, building upon, dramatic pause, whet the appetite, enhance, utmost, outstanding, backside here, excelled, movie buff, sparingly, exceptionally, disturbing, hysterical, risque or raunchy, dialogue, satire, optimistic, kudos, uplift, and freebie. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, and everyone else.
Thank you, Kate. And we have a Quizmaster, Mary. How well were we listening today, Mary? Mary.
And of course, one of them has to involve Eric. Name 3 things that Beth's parents volunteered for. Scouts, Historical Society, and Church. What is one of the many benefits that chia seeds do? They're loaded with little vitamins, micronutrients. What is the movie that Joe's seen 50 times? The 10 Commandments. And what word did Eric make up that is not a real word that will be in the dictionary soon? Installed. Mike, it's your turn.
Well done, Mary Elizabeth. Our word master, Kate. How did we do with our thought provoking and our evoke of the word?
Very evocative. Thank you for listening to me provoke you into using the word. Most of you used it. I appreciate it. Marty and Maggie with a tie if we were competing, but Marty used both words. Fantastic. I heard it from Margot, Sylvia, David Jones, and Joe as well. If I missed any of you, please use these words and variations through the day. Eric, of course, too. No? Yeah. Yeah. Very good. I will call out Eric. We're piling it on you today. Hang on. Nostalgia. I like it though, because language does evolve. We're in a communication revolution and have been for quite some time. And sometimes language evolves. Some people might call it devolving. It's a part of communication and humanity. I love that you rocked right through it. As far as the word, I said that. I wanted to say one more thing. Oh, about mom. So we sometimes share book recommendations, and Jill, in her evaluation, mentioned TV and video games being a cause of less volunteerism. It may sound strange, but it is absolutely 1000% true. Look into the writings of Robert Putnam. And you mentioned that we see a steep decline in this last generation. It's been going on for a century, and it's been a trajectory of declining volunteerism generation after generation, and it very much launches with the television in the 1950s, and folks could do what they wanted when they wanted instead of going together to play gin rummy, to go to do the park cleanups or the cemetery cleanups. And it's a much deeper spike since the 1980s. And now that everyone has televisions on their wrists and in their pockets, they can do whatever they want, whenever they want, and they don't have to even talk to anybody. It's remarkable. Look at Robert Putnam for his writings, Bowling Alone, and many others. He did Our Children or Our Kids and The Upswing and Better Together. Look up Robert Putnam. Okay, enough from me, except I might as well throw in an announcement. I have 2 spots left for Shaw Festival on May 3rd, $47 each. Please let me know. It's only 3 weeks away, $47 a ticket. And I think we're doing breakfast after, but you can do all that. All right, thank you. Mr. Toastmaster. Oh, wait, Mr. Toastmaster, who have you known longest in this club? And you never spell her name right on the program. Mary Cabanero, spell it right.
Yes, thank you. All right, before we announce the winners, hold on 1 minute, Tracy. You're the best speaker of the day since you're walking out the door. Okay.
And I hope it's not as boring as it was the first 5 minutes.
Thanks, Tracy. Our best table topics winner today is Carol Ann. And Carol Ann is our Toastmaster next week. And he's not here, but our best evaluator today was Mark Campos. He can't leave early. And do we have the split club drawings? It's coming. While we're waiting on that, I'm going to change over to our president's roll cap on. Next week, we are fully meeting on Zoom because the school district has the room because the school district is closed for their Easter spring break. So we're all meeting on Zoom next week. And Carol, would you like to draw the winner since everybody's gone? Oh, yes. And if anybody's interested in becoming an officer, please message Kate if you are interested. Oh, yes. Oh, that's for her. Okay, this is for you.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, get out your tickets. The last three numbers, 8, 9, 6.
It might be.
Yeah, it's in. Oh, Beth wins. Not necessarily. Okay. Oh, it's Margot. Congratulations, Margot. All right. Are there any other announcements before we adjourn? All right, Marty, and then Darcy can come up too. Yes, Marty.
What the announcement was or is that in order to encourage youth to volunteer, perhaps Beth Banks or one of our Toastmasters could be, a master of ceremony at an 8th grade graduation for youth or a high school graduation, youth, for volunteering. And that might inspire some of our youth in the future to volunteer. That's it. Thank you.
Yes, go ahead, Darcy. Yes, it's also on our homepage too, with the meeting link, and I'll be sending out reminder email later on today with that. So, are there any final announcements before we adjourn? Where are we going for breakfast, Mr. Licata?